Hi guys, this is Edison. How are you doing today? Ready for news stories? I'm excited. Are you? Let's go to the first story about crazy mother who demands OP asks her father to support and be a father to children's OP's mother had with her affair partner. Crazy, crazy world.
I'm 17 female, and my half-siblings are 15 female and 14 male. My mom was with my dad, had me, divorced dad after cheating on him, and married the guy she cheated with. My half-siblings are a result of that marriage. He was a D, and used to encourage them to gloat that they had a better dad, that mom picked him over my dad, and that my dad was a giant loser. It led to a lot of hard feelings and arguments. Then, when I was 9, he bailed and left my half-siblings' lives completely. At this point, Mom thought the best idea would be for my dad to step up and take over raising my half-siblings. But he said no. Mom would try and get me to say I wanted it. I found out later that she had attempted recording us talking so she could play it for Dad, saying I wanted him to love my siblings and be their dad too. My half-siblings latched on to the idea, and then would say I was selfish for hogging the only dad. When I was young and still bitter over what they said, I would tell them I guess they had the loser dad after all, and I had the better one, because at least mine didn't abandon me. Mom would ask me to be a grown-up about it. I was 9 or 10 at this point. She told me they need me more than ever before. It didn't change our relationship. They resent me for having a dad. I don't think my dad owes them anything. I don't blame them for what they said when their dad was around, but I do find it hypocritical that they got away with saying that S while I'm expected to coddle them and treat them like they're the most important people in the world. They have told Dad to abandon me and adopt them. They have destroyed stuff I had made for him. They stole photos from my room at Mom's house and stuck their faces on photos of me and my dad. I ended up choosing to stay with Dad more, and they showed up at his house a few times and demanded to be included because he's our dad too. I was at my mom's house yesterday. She called and told me she wanted us to talk. Then she was saying how she heard Dad was planning a big trip for the two of us at Christmas, and she didn't want me to go because she wanted me to spend at least some time at Christmas with her and my siblings. They overheard and said they should be going instead of me, that it's not fair I get to do that stuff, and then they accused me of rubbing my dad in their face and hogging him. Mom said nothing, didn't even look bothered by what they were saying, so they pushed on. Then I snapped and told them that they were annoying brats and didn't deserve squat from Dad or me. Mom was furious and told me I'm older and should be more understanding of them. I left. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. But holy S, does your mother and siblings need therapy? Not the idiot. Don't just call them brats. Remind them of how they acted before. Remind your mother that all of this is her fault, that no one made her cheat, and no one forced her kids to be unbearable. She encouraged them and allowed all of this. Assign blame where blame is due. Say that you'll be expecting monetary compensation for everything your siblings deface or destroy from now on. Move in with your dad. Have an awesome holiday vacation with your dad. Being the older child doesn't mean you have to put up with everything your mom and her kids does. The major a-hole in here is your mom. Expecting your dad to take care of kids of someone else who cheated on him with and refraining you spending time with your father? So, a bit of a backstory. My husband's brother and his ex-wife have a daughter, my niece. They got divorced almost 9 years ago now. She filed after finding out he'd been cheating for most of their relationship. He is still with the same woman he cheated with, and as far as we know is happy. My niece is almost 10. I've stayed friends with my niece's mother, and we talk and have kept a good relationship as she allows me to see my niece, and it's nice to see what's going on in my niece's life. My brother-in-law doesn't see his daughter very often. So it's even more important I have a good relationship with Jennifer so I can see Amber, who is obviously important to me. Over the last few years, Jennifer got into a new relationship and recently got married. We were all invited, including my brother-in-law and his girlfriend, as my niece wanted everyone there to celebrate. We have not kept it secret that we were going, at all. My brother-in-law knew we would be there and never said a word about how he didn't want us to go. I am friends with Jennifer, and my niece specifically asked us to be there, so yes, I'm going. Fast forward to the evening of the wedding. We were sitting around the table, enjoying our food, and my brother-in-law messages my husband. He says that he can't believe we were at his ex's wedding, and he feels betrayed, and that he would never go to my wedding if my husband and I divorced. He doesn't even talk to me now. I'm under no impression he would speak to me again if my husband and I got divorced, despite having been in his life for nearly 20 years now, and despite having a nephew for him to see or ask about. Also, he wouldn't be invited. My husband calmly explained that we were there for Amber, and that Jennifer and I are still friends. He then says, well, they are only friends because I introduced them. Insert giant eye roll. Needless to say, I lost no sleep. I'm always going to be there for my niece and her mother. I'm so happy that she has found such a wonderful person who makes her happy and treats her like she should be treated. In reality, I know that my brother-in-law is a narcissist, and what he is really mad about is that he can't control her anymore. And so he will try to control the people around her instead. I have never fallen for his BS, but the people in his life tend to ask how high when he says jump. And he has this weird power over people. So he's probably super distraught that we went without his permission. So am I the idiot for going and not caring that he's mad? My view is he cheated on her, continually, and he messed up the relationship. He's supposedly happy now with the same woman since then, but Jennifer has been in and out of a couple relationships, also pretty toxic. And now that she's happy, he cares. I don't care what he does or who he sleeps with. But if you're happy, then be happy, and let Jennifer be happy as well. If I was his girlfriend, I would be pretty concerned about why he cares so much. You can be friends with whoever you want, and can go to any wedding you want. Just because your brother, heck, he isn't even your brother, but only brother-in-law, messed up this relationship, doesn't mean you can't be friends with her anymore. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. Jennifer and Amber are family to you. You're also friends, and your niece wanted you there. I wouldn't be surprised if your brother-in-law and his daughter lose their relationship. You don't have to like your exes, but try and be there for the kids. Jennifer was nice to even invite him. Not the idiot. Well, they're only friends because I introduced them. Husband should have replied, well, we're only here at Jennifer's wedding because you were a terrible, cheating excuse of a husband and a crappy dad. So thank you for the friendship you introduced, and for getting us as an invite to this beautiful wedding. Wouldn't have been possible without you. So I, 25 female, have 5 siblings. My oldest brother, 36 male, who I used to idolize. He recently got engaged, in my opinion rather quickly after his divorce of 6 months. Tonight was his engagement dinner. I'm going to be honest here, I hate his soon-to-be wife Amanda. She's a two-faced fake witch that's obsessed with my brother's ex-wife. I went tonight because I loved my brother, and with all our family's comments about putting them in their place, I was going to try to keep it civil for my niece's sake. Well, shockingly, it was going well because my brother kept our grandmother and siblings away from Amanda by sitting me and my dad next to her. I tried to be nice. I used all my years in retail to help me channel my best polite positive attitude, even though I wanted to tell this woman go duck herself. We got talking about their wedding, which is in July. It started off civil enough, till it got to the part my mom asked would my nieces, 4, 5, and 8, be flower girls. They looked at each other, then my POS brother answered and said, well, actually, we thought of having a late wedding, so we decided it would be best if it was child-free. Me in shock and a little drunk. How can you have a child-free wedding when you have kids? Amanda, well, they won't be coming because it wouldn't be fair to my friends or you guys. Me, which I wasn't asking you. I'm talking to my brother, their father. Brother, please don't call Amanda out of her name and calm down. We both agreed it would be inappropriate because the ceremony starts at 7 and we plan on partying into the night. Please, as my family, respect and support my decisions. If you can't respect my relationship or my future wife, I will ask you don't attend the wedding nor speak to me till you're ready to apologize. Me, having a child-free wedding is completely BS. And guess what? Other people came here to make fun of you, or for your kids' sake. You know what? Duck you, duck your wedding, and your future wife. My grandmother then said, they always downgrade, don't they? He was running around with crap in a sack when he had a good woman at home. We all started laughing, then my brother and Amanda started yelling, so everyone go in on it, then we got kicked out of the restaurant. Now that I'm sobering up, I think I'm a jerk. People have told me I had my reasons for disliking Amanda, and why my brother's kids not being invited to his wedding tipped me over the edge. Here's the reasons. Amanda is my ex-sister-in-law's friend. My brother has seen his kids a total of 10 days in the last year and a half. When his kid's uncle got into a crash, which he wouldn't even let his kids stay with him when his ex needed to spend time with her 18-year-old brother who passed away due to injuries, I had to step up for those kids when he should have. They talk S on his ex 24/7 when the woman is just trying to live her life. Amanda told my niece she was fat, and boys won't like that. Also, they called my ex's wife a bad mother when the girl stayed with us for a while after her brother's death.
Everybody sucks here, but knowing your brother abandoned his kids for this new woman makes him and her the a-hole big time. Seriously, the guy wants to get married to some girl he barely knows shows who he really is as a man. I honestly hope their marriage doesn't last, and that his kids want nothing to do with him after this. Everybody sucks here. You spoke your mind and let your brother know how you felt. Nothing wrong with that. The way you did it, maybe you an a-hole, but at least it wasn't during the speeches at the wedding. I'm going with not the idiot. Sounds like you've been holding in a good tongue lashing for your brother and for your sister-in-law. Because of how they've treated his children with his ex and hearing that they won't be allowed at the wedding just sent you over the edge. Take the kids somewhere special and skip the wedding. Sounds like those kids are going to need a lot of support from people who actually care about them because their father and future stepmother don't seem to give a D.
My son, Henry, is about to start school, and his teacher invites parents for a one-to-one meeting with you to talk about your child's needs, abilities, etc. It's being held on a Zoom call. A bit of necessary background. Henry's biofather has always been super inconsistent since he was born. I struggled as a single parent, and he regularly bailed on having Henry for the day, cut their time together short, made lame excuses as to why he couldn't see him, etc. It's always been a huge pain in the butt, but I've let it go, and always just let him come as and when he can be bothered. He has also never paid a penny in child support. When Henry was about 14 months old, I met my now fiancé, husband in 2 months. I introduced them slowly, and they hit it off from the get-go, and now have the most incredible bond. My partner considers Henry to be his own, and Henry, completely and utterly by his own choosing, calls him daddy. Bio-dad has never improved in his flaky ways and continues to let Henry down frequently, even years down the line. Despite this, I make sure to keep him as involved as I possibly can because I think it's very important for Henry to have a strong relationship with his bio father. So now the story. With this school meeting coming up, I obviously rang and invited bio-dad. At first he was being really iffy about it, making excuses as to why he couldn't come. I can't say this came as a surprise because my partner and I have done everything until now with regards to Henry starting school, despite my asking bio for input frequently. So I basically said that it would be nice for Henry if he could come to be there for it. But if he had too much on, it was fine and we would let him know how it goes. Then he started shouting, "We? Who's we?" He's stepdad not going to my son's meeting. He kicked off massively, raging on and on about how he wasn't his parent and had no right, etc. He literally expected me to sit by myself for this meeting and pretend I was a single parent and he couldn't make it. Anyway, he hung up and rang back a few hours later and said that he could now make it, so it was no problem. I said that was great and we would see him at ours for the meeting. Then he kicked off again because he assumed that if he could come, my partner would no longer be invited. I explained this was about Henry, and it was in Henry's best interest to have all his parents involved in his education. I said that if Bio wouldn't come with stepdad there, then he wasn't welcome at all, because clearly he couldn't put his own feelings aside for the sake of Henry. He hung up again, and we haven't spoken since. So am I the jerk for uninviting him to the parents' meeting so that stepdad could be there? Not the idiot, and honestly, I'd stop trying. He doesn't seem to want to be in his kid's life right now, which is only going to end up hurting your son. Your son seems to be perfectly content with his stepdad. If he wants to be in his life, he can put in some effort, rather than you having to deal with his BS. Not the idiot. Your husband is also his father, and since it seems like he lives full-time with y'all, is going to have a bigger impact on his day-to-day life and schooling than bio-dad. He should absolutely be there. Secondary thought here, I'm glad you and bio-dad split. He seems like a jerk and controlling. Not the idiot. That said, why are you acting like the bio-dad's secretary? If he wants to be involved, he can. If he wants to go to school events, then he should have given the school's email address and kept watch on the school's website. Stop parenting 2 boys. So I, 17 male, live in my parents' house. So does my brother, 30 male, and his wife, 27 female. They got married and moved in about 2 months ago. Since then, it has been awful in this house for me. My parents both work full-time jobs, and I go to school plus a part-time job. Brother and sister-in-law don't work at all. They're both laying down all day, not helping with dinner, cleaning, etc. I'm the one forced to be doing everything, even though I'm exhausted from my busy schedule. My parents don't believe that they are lazy, because these jerks only help when they're around. My brother is also the favorite, so he's treated like royalty no matter what. So yesterday, my sister-in-law invited her parents over to have dinner today, Friday, and wanted everything to be perfect. She kept bossing my brother around, and even wanted to rent a car with my parents' money because she's embarrassed of my brother's old Nissan. I guess she didn't want them to see that they don't work for S and don't have a Rolls Royce. Anyways, I was chilling watching a show on the TV and she stood in my way. I asked what was up and she got angry and yelled that if I was going to help or just sit there like a pig. Then I looked her in the eyes and said to please stop feeling so entitled because she never does anything. My brother heard and started cussing me out, and now my mom is mad at me and says I've ruined my relationship with my brother and sister-in-law. My dad thinks it was 50-50. I'm starting to wonder if I should have said that at all, but it was pretty true. Am I the idiot? Nope, not the idiot. You had no obligation to help. Her parents are coming over. She can take care of things to whatever standard she feels she needs to. That has nothing to do with you, and you have no obligation to help. Not the idiot. She called you a pig? In what universe is that how you ask someone for help? Your mother's being ridiculous. Sister-in-law was extremely out of line. Not the idiot. Stop helping them, and let the two lazy ones take care of everything since they don't work. Tell your parents you can't do your schoolwork and clean up after them.